The Detroit Lions is a team to be reckoned with in today's football league. But behind this incredible journey to the summit of their NFL history, there's a legend who gave his team an iconic identity and a new life towards stardom. And that phenomenal man is none other than Brad Holmes, a car rental agent who had a long run before he became the aspiring general manager of the Detroit Lions and flew them to the peak of their game.
When you come in 3 years ago, like me and this guy did, and you had a vision and you start working together and you've got an idea how you want to build it and the type of players you're looking for and how you want to go top to bottom, offense, defense, special teams, and you're in fucking lockstep. You're in fucking lockstep. I'm telling you guys, it's a shitty business. It ain't always perfect, but we do a pretty good job, baby. Right? But without this fucking guy right here, man, Brad Holmes.
So Brad Holmes, the brains of the Detroit Lions, came from a really humble background. But something that the world is unfamiliar with about Holmes is that he was actually really far from being a successful GM of a powerful football team before he was offered the position. Now, this dude kicked off his game by working as a rental agent at Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Now, this dude always had an interest in football. Back in the day at George D. Chamberlain High School, he was the captain of his football team and was also crowned the homecoming king. After graduating from North Carolina A&T with a Bachelor of Science in Journalism, he served as the Aggies letterman under Coach Bill Hayes. Now, Brad had a terrible accident when he was visiting his home in the '99 season, which even involved a one-week coma induction for the man. From there, he turned his future around with a simple yet pivotal decision that would soon change his life. He decided to pursue a career in sports. While talking about his past years of struggle back at home, he told an NFL reporter, "I moved back home and I was renting cars for Enterprise Rent-A-Car."
The first thing that we think about is what's it going to look like in November and December, because that's when you're really going to get tested. And that's the unfortunate reality of this game, is that, attrition comes, but, we put a lot of work. It's not perfect. We're always, striving to get it perfect. So as long as we have that mindset that the work's never done, but it's going to be cool to see those guys get opportunities.
That sounds kind of crazy, right? But that's the same place where Holmes managed to build a cordial relationship with the Atlanta Hawks, a prominent NBA team back in 2002. Now, he said, an opportunity came about with the Atlanta Hawks. I could only work 40 hours a week with the Atlanta Hawks. It was a media relations training position. Enterprise allowed me to work part-time at the Atlanta airport, and then I go to the Atlanta airport and I would just rent cars, so probably about 11 o'clock at night.
A little nerves going a little bit, but I say very quickly into that first interview, the nerves went away pretty quickly, and it truly was because of Ms. Hamp, and she just had such an infectious soul that just really it transformed. And I've told this story a million times. It's like it transformed it from a virtual Zoom experience to we're just sitting around by the fireplace getting to know each other.
Now, this wasn't just a trajectory anybody presumes for a post like general manager. This relationship eventually earned him an internship with the St. Louis Rams at the NFL back in 2003. Shedding light on his role with the Rams, Holmes had this to say. My boss at the time was the president of communications for basketball, and he said, "Look, man, a lot of these PR directors from the NFL come to the NBA All-Star game so I can introduce you to some of them." So I met Dwayne Lewis, and he did kind of a lunch interview. He offered me a PR internship. I just packed a U-Haul and drove to St. Louis. Right then, first shot to be a scouting intern. Once his internship concluded, he managed to grab several positions with the Rams, including scout, area scout, national combine scout, and scouting assistant, until finally he was promoted to director of college scouting.
Trying to say stuff that cannot be coached, so the other part of the scouts' eye is that they got to find those factors, and if they're coachable players and if they're receptive to take coaching, so when we give them to the coaches, then they'll be good Rams for them, and be successful. But I think a scout's eye in general of identifying those factors, I think it's instincts. And I think that's developed over time from a young scout to the more you do it, the better your eye gets, the better your instincts.
Now, this dude had one hell of an incredible run with the Rams. It was responsible for the assembly and the formation of the famous Mob Squad. Yo, I'm talking about Pro Bowlers Aaron Donald, Jared Goff, Todd Gurley, Cooper Kupp, Pharaoh Cooper, and Corey Littleton.
if you're not passionate about football, then you're not going to make it as a scout. If that passion doesn't burn inside you and you want to find those guys at the ground root level and then find good Rams to help us win games and win championships and see them develop 2-3 years down the road, be like, you know what? That's the guy I thought I was going to be. But you got to have that passion inside.
Now that lineup did wonders with NFL games, which also gave Holmes a tremendous boost in public relations with other teams and their coaches.
There was a young man, Brad Holmes, first time presenting, unbelievable job. At that point in time, Billy Devaney was GM of the Rams, and I remember texting Billy after hearing Brad present and said, hey, that young man's special.
Okay, and how jealous are you that he gets the 7th overall pick in the draft?
It moves to envy.
In 2021, he finally got his dream position at the Detroit Lions as he signed a 5-year contract as the executive vice president and general manager of the Lions.
Detroit parted ways, the Ford family, Rod Wood, everybody, with the Patriot way. They're now investing in what's worked for the Rams, and I say that with confidence because Brad Holmes has worked his entire 18 years in the NFL for the St. Louis and now Los Angeles Rams. He started in 2003 as an intern for the public relations department.
Now, immediately after taking on this role, he quickly got to work improving a team that had been experiencing a drought of success in the past few years. When talking about his journey to the top, he often gave a simple yet very deep answer to the question of how he rose from the bottom to be among the most demanded managers in NFL's history.
If you could, what do you think differentiates you from others who were going for the job in Detroit? What did you bring to the table without feeling uncomfortable talking about that?
You know what? I will say this. The whole way leading up to it, and you're asking all these GMs, current GMs, former GMs.
Brad Holmes has gained top-tier recognition among the NFL and the Detroit Lions fan base, as he's revived a team to a summit of glory in just 3 years of passionate and hard work. Wherever this man goes, success follows.
When it comes to decision making and, you know, just a ton of books on that I've read and trying to applying that to, you know, the philosophy and our process and things that I, you know, learned from Les in terms of evolution and how process evolution, how that entails. And even with the fusion of how can you, you know, perfectly merge analytics with.
Now his mantra is the secret that got him into the position that he stands in today. He remains an inspiration for people who want to achieve something in their lives. The quick comeback that he provided his team in a short span of 3 years is just incredible for a guy who was once an enterprise car rental agent. So lesson learned, everybody. It ain't never too late to start rising to the top.